And you're charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine.
An officer was dispatched to a Valero parking lot for a suspicious motor vehicle that may have been stolen. Loss prevention on the motor vehicle came back to the license plate, on the motor vehicle came back to a white Ford F-150. The vehicle identification number on the vehicle was different than what had returned. The defendant got out of the suspected motor vehicle and the officer was performing a felony stop on the possible stolen vehicle with multiple items in her hand, and the defendant refused to obey commands when told to drop them. The officer stated that he told the defendant to face away from him and walk backwards with her hands up. The defendant refused to obey commands and walked towards the officer with her hands down and facing him. The defendant kept moving back towards the front of. The defendant kept moving hands back towards the front of her body while the officer attempted to put on handcuffs on the defendant. The officer ordered the defendant to walk towards the patrol vehicle, to which the defendant refused and had to be escorted by force. The defendant kept moving her hands away from the officer and he attempted to handcuff her again. The officer had to take the defendant to the ground due to the defendant attempting to free herself. The defendant continued to move around so she could not be handcuffed.
Is she the driver or the passenger? Is there a co-defendant? Did someone else get the UUMV?
It does not appear there's any co-defendant.
It's a passenger.
Stop. Ma'am, don't.
All it says is that she got out of the suspect vehicle.
Ma'am, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. If you do not have a Texas driver license, you are not allowed to drive. Do you understand me, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Also, you need liability insurance if you're going to drive. If you don't have either, then you're not allowed to drive. Do you understand? Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer or would you like a court-appointed lawyer, ma'am?
Court-appointed lawyer.
Okay, I need you to, let me see if I have an application. I need you to fill out an application for me. I'll take a look at it and then we can appoint you someone later today. Do not leave until you sign our bond conditions though, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
All right? Okay, please.